Yeah, happy to start. And Gandalf, you can maybe get a little bit more specific around the product stuff. I'll just give a very high level update on everything. So it's been a while since we've done an AMA like this. I think it's been a very busy time prepping towards this future in FX in many different ways. So we can kind of go around the different parts of the product and the different objectives that we have without revealing too much alpha because obviously there's a lot in the pipeline. But definitely want to give you guys a lot more visibility on what we've been working on over the last month or two since we last did one of these. Um, we are essentially making the exchange ready for scale. And I think that's a theme for the product side of things. And Varun can speak more about what that means in practice with our infrastructure and our APIs, et cetera. But that's on the product side. On the commercial side, we're working to essentially have some of the tier one liquidity partners prepare with us for FX. So as you guys know, we launched our FX perps I think now about a month ago. And this was really the first step into FX. But we really believe that the big ticket item for FX is all happening around spot. So if you look at the FX as an asset class in general, a lot of the volume that's happening is in spot. And today it's in traditional currencies. It's not in stable coins. A lot of it is still denominated against traditional currencies. But I think everybody here, if you're here, I assume that you believe in stablecoins and that you believe in the power that they can have and that they already do have in the larger market with the benefits around instant settlement, etc. And so, really, the thesis at Hibachi has always been, ever since we started working with Circle and Arc, to make the world of FX a lot easier and really be a venue for price discovery because that doesn't exist. Essentially, if you and I want to go trade FX today, we are at a loss immediately because of the way that liquidity is concentrated around 72 banks. So you essentially have 72 banks that own all the liquidity and FX, and anybody that's not in that private club is not getting a good FX price. But that is going to change, and we want to be that change and really become the venue for FX price discovery. So that's the North Star. Obviously, there are a ton of other things happening around vaults, around liquidity, around new market listings. And so the team has been working hard to also expand out those ecosystems. But the mission is very clear for us. So I don't know if Varun, you want to jump in here, maybe double click on any of these points, and we can talk more about the product.
Yeah, no, I think in general we probably should do these more often. Like what maybe once or twice a month. But I know there's a bunch of new people in the community as well as the OGs who've been around before we even started this thing. So uh, let me just give you a quick rundown of what happened for the last 9 months since launch and where the things are going. That way, everyone sort of has a clarity and in terms of where we are with things. So obviously, we launched last year in June as uh, like we positioned ourselves as the retail perp dex venue when we launched, and it was mostly focused on speed and privacy at the time, and and then fast forward 2 months, 3 months in, we got in touch with Circle, who was specifically interested in the privacy feature as well as the way we were designing the product. And then they were keen on partnership to figure out a venue that is more institutional focused. And then as we were talking more, the thing we landed on was FX because we took a deep dive in that market and realized that not only it happens to be one of the largest markets in the world, well, the largest market in the world, but also happens to be extremely opaque. Like if you want to trade FX in the TradFi world right now, like if you are you have to be, like Thibaut mentioned, one of the inner bank members. Then you get to trade using bilateral agreements, right, on the EBS. But if you're not one of those banks or one of those tier one liquidity partners who has like $50 million of credit line, then you can't really access those rates, right? So then you have to access FX through like intermediaries, and the further you are away from that source, the wider the spreads you're paying, right? So turns out FX has been like this very interesting world where it was very much gate kept from access or accessing the interbank rates, and at the same time happens to be one of the biggest asset classes in the world. And we're like, okay, fine. And turns out stable coins actually change the way we can actually interact with FX. So we saw this as the opportunity to focus our technology into something bigger, right? So, and the reason we say the time is now is because before stablecoins, the way you would move money needed banks as intermediaries, right? Without banking infra, you couldn't really send money anywhere, right? So because banking had the monopoly on the movement of money to begin with, you are essentially letting them set the price, and then you would pay that price. So there was no open market central limit order book where anybody could place bids and asks and price discovery happen. You had to rely on banking RFQ infra because they had the monopoly in terms of how they would move the money. And stable coins essentially remove that. Why you don't need banking to send money from A to B. And the moment you do that, you actually can build infra now that doesn't depend on the bank for price discovery. So if you think of like asset classes like equities, stock, commodities, etc., on Nasdaq and other venues, you actually have a true price discovery for those markets, right? So for BTC, you have like Binance, Hyperliquid, etc., where price discovery is going on. But for FX, because banking had that monopoly on money, you didn't really have true price discovery. But with stable coins, because that dependency doesn't exist, now you finally have the opportunity to build a central limit order book that can enable price discovery for FX, and you become the reference price for it, right? So, and that's all where we saw the North Star of, because any other venue we look at right now, FX is being treated as this one of many RWAs, right? So, and we think RWAs is not the asset class, it's FX is the asset class, and that's kind of where we see the big opportunity to build on, right? So, and that's so the reason why we announced our formal direction towards FX in February with Circle and Arc, and then we've been like, pretty much heads down on that build. In terms of where the product stands at the moment, I know we launched FX Perps 3 weeks ago, and currently we are still finishing up few infra things, particularly zero downtime, because I know like right now, like each week we have this maintenance windows, which we want to basically get rid of. So you should see a lot of infra improvements in that side where you will not no longer have those maintenance windows, or you will rarely have them. We are aiming for zero downtime, and zero downtime would be nice. Right. So and then also, you'll see lots of latency improvements. Right now, we are, to get them under like millisecond, which will be pretty sick. So, and then you'll also see lots of UI upgrades, but then also just refactoring the APIs to make it more institutional grade, including adding fixed APIs and such. Right. So that is something that is under the works. And then obviously the big launch would be FX Spot, because I think 95% or most of FX volume, or 70% or more, comes from spot. And with stable coins, having spot FX is going to be the big game changer, right? So I think that's something we are planning towards getting out ideally by Q3 or end of Q3. So that's all the roadmap that we have in mind at the moment. So and once we have that, then you essentially have a more complete product, right? So that's sort of how we are thinking about you know what is in the works. But I guess I spoke a lot, so I'll stop here and uh, look for any questions.
Yeah, I've been looking at some of these questions. I think there are largely some questions are on ARC, and then people are wondering about heat as well. So I can expand on that a little bit. Um, Let's start with Arc. So yeah, so Arc is in the works, as you guys probably know. It's in testnet currently. So we are very much actively working with them to prepare for their mainnet. We're already posting proofs on Arc. So the exchange is very much live on Arc. It's not something that you can publicly see yet because it's a private instance, but going back and forth with them in terms of optimizing different things on their chain so that it's a powerful ecosystem and a home for FX. So there's a lot of back and forth that's happening strategically between us that is going to allow for more adoption of stablecoins in general, and in turn also more FX trading. So in terms of more specific timelines, there's not something that we can share right now. It's honestly not for us to share. So we're as excited as you guys are for Arc to go live on mainnet, and then for them to expand their ecosystem in different ways. So obviously we'll be there on day one, and we're ready to be there already. Actually, a lot of the build on our side is already deployed, and so now it's just really about Circle and Arc going ahead and working towards that mainnet moment. So that's on Arc. Anything specific else on Arc Circle that you want to share, Varun, that I might have missed?
No, I think at the moment, I mean, obviously the way we designed the product is pretty chain agnostic, right? So it is compatible with any chain because the way it works is an off-chain central limit order book that is posting ZK proofs onto the underlying L1. So it's a matter of when ARC officially goes live, we'll be on it, right? So so it's essentially a matter of it going live, and you can't talk about the specific dates of when Arc is going live until Circle confirms that. So that is something we can't speak about. But I've also been seeing a bunch of questions on the TGE, so just want to be clear. So and the uh, I guess this point season timeline. So realistically, I think historically our seasons have been like 6 months to 7 months long. Thibaut, correct me if I'm wrong. And this is obviously the last season before TGE, so that is something that we've talked about already. In terms of when TGE itself, it's a function of few product milestones being addressed, and also just being opportunistic about around the market and things like that. So I think that's really one of the big considerations, along with having like exchange listings and distribution on day one when the product goes live. So what we don't want to do is just launch a token for the sake of launching a token, right? So I think that's really some of the gating factors, I would say, is having like good distribution on day one through exchange listings, along with making sure the market is not the way it is currently, and obviously having checked off more product milestones, particularly getting closer to the spot markets, and then also not being in beta, right, which includes the infra updates that I talked about. So those would be, I would say, the precursors to launching a token. But and in terms of, somebody asked, would there be like a burn buyback mechanism? So that is something we've been considering strongly, and then looking into tokens like Hyperliquid did, then obviously BNB and so on. So those would be the tokens that we are looking to model after. So that's kind of how I would look at it. So
Yeah, I think on that piece, I also saw somebody ask if we were planning on launching our own stablecoin, but we're working with a lot of different stablecoin issuers already that are making that their core business, and we just want to focus on being the liquidity and the venue for trading of those stablecoins. So for the time being on the roadmap, that is the core focus. There are a lot of really good stablecoins popping up in different regions for different currencies, and so we've essentially started to build a model with these issuers to be able to support onboarding of those stablecoins in different currencies. So Heath is not a stablecoin. It's an exchange token, like Varun was describing. It's very much a utility token. As you can see in this market already, some of the winners of this market are exchange tokens. So we really are taking inspiration and modeling our utility based on what we see the market is essentially reacting to. So that is a priority for us. In terms of timelines, like Varun said, there are a bunch of different factors here. We want to share as much as we can as we kind of finalize things. And I am, very excited to share more details around tokenomics, etc. Once those things are finalized as well. So stay tuned for all of that. We're pretty close, and excited to just really share more here.
Yeah. Also, I would say we haven't announced the percentage allocation to airdrop just yet. But yeah, it's mainly, I think points is one of the bigger factors to look into in terms of determining that number. And a lot of that will obviously, this factors, including like the fees collected and so on, that will be influencing the amount that is determined for at least the initial airdrop. But we can give you the more specifics of how we come up with what percentage to allocate once we have more clarity ourselves. So
Yeah, I think this is it's essentially like launching a new product. And so we want to be very careful and strategic about how we do that. This is a very different market than it was even a year or two ago. So I think making something that is future proof, has real value behind it, is very important to us. So we're talking to a lot of very smart people around tokenomics to make sure that everything goes according to plan. Distribution is very important. Obviously, having really good distribution on day one is a key component here. So working on that as well. But yeah, I'm excited to share more around that. This is going to be a very great month for us. I think you'll see towards the end of this month a big announcement, especially for those of you who've been with us for a while. You've seen the growth of the exchange. Hopefully, you've seen it improve as well, especially on some of the things that are less visible sometimes, but are very, very important for scalability and just robustness of the exchange. We're working very hard to, one, remove some of those friction points around new exchanges, but also just make it so that the tech is very solid. So, we'll share sometime next week, actually, like a Q3 update with everything that's coming up. There's a few launches happening as well. And then towards the end of the month, I think you can look forward to a larger moment, which I don't want to spill just yet because that would remove the excitement from it. But that's the timeline for this month, as Varun said. From there, we're working on all things related to the token. We're working obviously on the product side to make sure that the next milestone around FX spot and improved APIs are ready to go. And then from there, I think we'll be very, very competitive. I think one thing that I'm seeing in the market is that everybody is excited about different asset classes, right? I think for the very first time, we're leveraging blockchain technology and exchanges and decentralized exchanges, et cetera, are really starting to be more focused on equities, commodities, etc. But it really seems like nobody has taken on FX the way that we have. So we definitely have an advantage in terms of having a core thesis that is unique to the market. And so we're really leaning into that at this point to fuel the growth of stablecoins, which we believe is going to continue to happen. So I'm very, very excited about the future of what we're building. It's a very interesting time in general, as you see kind of a bunch of different stable coins popping up all the time. OpenUSD recently, a bunch of different chains. Institutions are starting to come in at size, and I think I saw today. I forgot. I think JP Morgan is like launching a vault, for example. Like these things we were only imagining even a year ago, right? We could have even maybe memed it, but it's happening as we speak. So I think it's important to remember that as an industry, we are maturing, and this is a good thing in a lot of ways because the mission from the very start was to be an alternative to finance and to financial rails, and I think it's finally happening. And so FX needs a rewrite. It needs a refresh. The FX rails that operate your movements today between currencies when you send money to your family across borders, that was built 70 years ago. And so it's really overdue for us to really lean into stablecoin technology to offer a much better, a much faster, and a much cheaper solution to FX trading. So that's the mission. Obviously, there's a bunch of other things happening, and yeah, look forward to sharing more over the next few weeks around these milestones. And like Varun said, I think we should absolutely do a lot more of these. So let's maybe take on. Let's see if there's any kind of net new questions that have come in recently. Uh, there's a question around the investors. Yeah, so you have some of our investors on the landing page, which are the ones that we have been able to announce. As we take on any additional capital, we will be announcing that. But for now, I think you guys already know this. Our core investors are Dragonfly Electric, Circle Ventures, and Coinbase Ventures. And yeah, if there's any updates there, we'll be sharing that as well.
Yeah, I've
Um,
just a few questions. Sorry, I cut you off.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say around the spot FX timing. So I think right now, the big piece that will go out in the coming weeks is like zero downtime. And once we have checked off the zero downtime milestone, the next bigger piece is going to be A, API upgrades, and then B, uh, spot FX, right? So as far as timeline, the way it's looking like currently, it's looking at end of Q3, early Q4. So that's the most realistic timeline for spot FX, and the goal would be to enable 24/7 FX trading on spot. And once we do that, then we have our own reference price that we can use to create like 24/7 perps market on FX as well, where it's not a synthetic price that we make it up. It's actually coming from the true price discovery on the venue. So that would be the goal.
Some roadmap questions. Rick, yeah, we posted a roadmap maybe about like 3, 4 weeks ago, but it's definitely do a refresh. That said, not a lot has changed, but I think over the next week we'll do a refresh. Like I said, a Q3 update across everything, so that you can have a sense of the roadmap again. Um,
Ah, by the way, I know Nemo, you're saying that if the head off is huge, like first hive. So I do want to say we're going to be a little conservative on the day one airdrop, but we'll see how the market looks like and everything else, right? But no promises yet.
let's see what else is here. Give a few more minutes. Yeah, let's give 3 more minutes before we can drop here. But this was really great. Maybe next time we can also bring some of you guys up and we can chat directly. I think that would be pretty cool as well. Yeah, I think some people are joining late and asking some of the questions that have already been answered. I think this will be recorded. So then we can kind of summarize different things. Yeah, I'll take a few last questions. There's a question around vaults, and then people are asking about timing of this point season. So yeah, I think this one should be shorter, but like Varun said, this is the last season of points, so really don't want to extend more point seasons. Like you guys have been with us for a while, bootstrapping the exchange with us, etc. So in terms of how long exactly will be, honestly, it's not even something that we have finalized ourselves because a lot of that is contingent on product features and also obviously our ability to prepare towards heat. So as soon as we have an ability to understand like the complete timeline around the points season, we'll be communicating that. But that is that is something that we can keep you guys updated obviously as we finalize those things. In terms of the vault, so our vault product, just quickly, we took a different approach here, and we don't want to have a quantity based vault product where anybody can kind of just launch a vault and deploy it. We want to essentially vet and have very good curation of our vault products. So absolutely, there will be more vault products. There is one already kind of in the background that's preparing for a launch, and we have a few others that are already in testing. But like I said, we want to keep expanding the Vault product in a way that's really focused around offering you guys some of the best products that are in the market. As you guys can see, obviously the FLP is a very good product that earns quite well. We'll be sharing more information about how to get access to FLP pretty soon as well. And same goes for the Growy Vault, etc. So no plans for any more NFTs, guys. I think that was very much for the early people that were with us again from the very start. So don't expect anything there for the time being. There's a question around gold, silver, and commodities. So, obviously the North Star for us has always been FX. That said, there are a lot of interesting trades between FX and commodities. So, absolutely, you can expect us to keep expanding out the commodities offering. Last week, we launched the PAX G, which is a gold product backed one to one with real gold. And so more of that very soon as well. I think silver is next up, then we'll do oil, etc. Because a lot of our FX traders are saying that they would like to also be able to pair things with commodities. So um, I think that's. uh, All right, guys. Well, I think well, it's a shame because now we have so many people here. It feels bad to close now, but no, it's great to see all of you. A lot of familiar faces here. And again, thank you so much for the early support. Trust that we're working very hard to make sure that this is a successful product for all of us, and really excited for the future of Hibachi. And I guess we have to close with Hibachio because that's. Can I get like a bunch of Hibachios in the chat actually?
Nice.
Just get spam Hibachio for a bit, and then we can go back to work.
Okay. All right.
This will motivate us for today. A very long day ahead still, but thank you guys for being here with us, and talk to you very soon. Hibachio.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.